The next Democratic nominee for the President of the United States will not be Joe Biden. Joe Biden was the Bernie blocker. The Democratic establishment realized that they would likely lose the House and the Senate would remain in Republican hands. Maybe even they'd pick up a few seats if Bernie Sanders was at the top of the ticket. So they all rallied around Joe Biden. A few things. Number one, Joe Biden has many gaffes. He cannot remember where he is. He goes on a cable news show and he needs note cards in order to remember what he wants to say. He gets a lot of things confused. There are too many gaffes. The voters are going to notice. If he ever debates Trump, Trump will wipe the floor with him. That's point number one, is the fact that you are electing essentially what is a corpse into the White House. And Joe has a lot of admiration from a lot of people. He served the country. He also has an albatross around him, being Hunter Biden, the whole Ukraine scandal. It's just Trump can really muddy the waters with all that stuff for Uncle Joe. So that's number one. Second of all, there is the sexual abuse allegations made by Tara Reade that are looking more and more likely by the day. And first, everybody in the Democratic establishment tried to ignore her. Unlike what they did with Brett Kavanaugh, who had a 30-year-old accusation from when he was in high school that came at him, and the whole Democratic establishment jumped on the opportunity to try to impugn Kavanaugh in order to try to keep him off the Supreme Court. It was a sickening display, and it is even made more sickening to me by the hypocritical nature of the fact that they ignored the allegations about Joe Biden, which have far more credibility right now than Kavanaugh's did because they've been confirmed. Interestingly enough, there was a Larry King show that apparently her mother had called into to report on that this had taken place, never named the name of the senator. It turns out that this was missing from the Google Play Store. Google Play Store somehow took down this CNN video. How did that happen? Is it a coincidence? I don't know. I mean, you just add these things up, and you have to imagine that in some way or shape or form that the Democratic establishment is trying to clear their tracks. It's like leaving a murder weapon behind, and then you come back, you pick it up, and you wipe off the prints, and you throw away the weapon. That's pretty much what they did in fact, they did, remove that from Google Play, which seems like a strong possibility. Why was that the one that was missing? But now back to Biden. That's point number two. Point number three is the fact that you have people on the left, liberals like Joe Rogan, who I like a lot, like Professor Brett Weinstein, his Dark Horse podcast, who have stated publicly that they would either vote for Trump in Joe Rogan's case because he doesn't think that electing somebody with dementia into the White House is a great idea. And you have people like Brett Weinstein, who state that Joe Biden is not the right choice, that if this is the best that the Democrats have to offer them, that they simply will not vote. They will not vote on the presidential side of the ticket. So these are a lot of votes that are going to be lost to the Democrats because you have two people in the intellectual community, or a person with an amazing podcast with tremendous reach, that state this. And a lot of people are going to pick up the cues and are likely going to have their opinion, at least, if not transformed by them, at least affected by it, logic that they put forward, and it's going to affect how they vote. Now, they are going to try to take the nomination away from him. He's going to bow out gracefully. Maybe it's going to be something along the lines of, I had a CAT scan done and I'm showing signs of dementia, which he clearly is. And they are just he's going to bow out gracefully. Somebody else is going to come and take his name at the top of the ticket. So the question becomes, who do I think is going to be the nominee? Somebody who's unsullied by the race leading up to this. The Democrats are likely going to either replace Joe Biden with either Andrew Cuomo or, if they can convince her, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama would be the most likely person to win over Trump in my mind. She's beloved by much of the community. I mean, she did state in 2008 that she's never been proud of her country.
Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country.
But regardless of that, the fact is that she is very much liked by the American public. They want some semblance of the Obama era back, many people. And I do think that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party would rally around her because she has all of the superficial characteristics that they desire, a woman and a person of color. So she's hitting the intersectional hierarchy at a pretty good scale. So you have all these things that are going to motivate such people to vote for her. She's obviously a bright woman. So yeah, Michelle Obama, if they can get her to run, if they can convince her to run, it'll make a great story that she didn't want to run, which is currently what she's saying, and that she did it for the good of the nation, and then the Obamas get 3 terms in office. It's going to be very un-American, but that is a strong possibility. Nevertheless, my prediction is at some point they are going to replace Joe Biden. There are too many strikes against him. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. Let me know what you guys think of my logic in the comments below. Look forward to it. Subscribe and have a great day. Peace out.